welcome to a really quick up-close video showing you the brand new Nuvo Precision Tips for your Nuvo glue, but they also work on your Nuvo drops as well, and I'll run you through which Nuvo drops they work the best on as well. So you can see a normal Nuvo glue lid would be like this, and it would usually come on the bottle like so, and then when you take it off there would be like a, you know, the normal sort of plastic nozzle that's in there. All you have to do to apply one of these fine tips or precision tips to your bottles is to just prise that piece out. So you just hold it by the spout and tilt it to the side and it will pop out, and then you take your new nozzle and you screw that onto the top, and it has the exact same screw thread as the normal lid as well. And it also has the normal lid already on the top, because this is different to the regular kind of lids because it has that pin needle inside of it. So that actually goes inside the fine little metal nozzle of the precision tip, and it helps it from not getting clogged and keeps this nice and clear, so that the next time you go to use it you're not fighting with a pin to try and get the glue to come out of it. And it comes out really nicely through these nozzles as well. Even though this is like a relatively large bottle of glue, I have used it on ones that are only half full, and it still is easy to squeeze the glue through the bottle. Maybe when it gets down to sort of this sort of level it might be a little bit harder to squeeze it out through the nozzle, but the good thing is you will then want to take this nozzle and put it on your new bottle, and when you then have your new bottle you'll have an extra one of those little plastic nibs, so you can take that off the new bottle, put this nozzle onto the new bottle, and then use the actual like old sort of top piece that you would normally use and put that back onto your really empty bottle, and then you can just use that one for larger applications and then use your new bottle with your fine tip on there as well. So you don't have to worry about trying to keep that little plastic nozzle that actually comes in the bottle to begin with. If you were going to keep them, I would definitely recommend washing them out so that nothing's going to dry in there and then get stuck. But the good thing is you're always going to put it on another bottle. It's not like you're going to chuck this with the bottle when it's empty, so you're always going to have another one off the new bottle. So if you do have a bit left in whatever like your glue bottles or one of your Nuvo drop bottles, you can then just put that bung back in there and put the normal lid back on, because I do recommend keeping these, because not only are they useful to have to use those gems off the top onto things like the rotating memoir, the knobs on the side of that were the perfect size for these kind of pieces. I've actually used one of these lids where I've prized the gem off to use it on like the rotating memoir, and then I've put it up this way and used it as a little base to make I cannot remember the name of the box, but it made like a little triangular one. I think it came, maybe it was called Pandora's box, or the one that it came out with was called Pandora's box, but it was like a triangular one, and I turned it into a Christmas tree by using a glue lid on the bottom of it, or a Nuvo drop lid on the bottom of it. So I'm going to show you a couple of samples of how I've or how this fine applicator kind of dispenses the product, but I also want to show you the different bottles that you can put it on. So all of Nuvo's bottles have this same lid with the screw thread, but there are a few that will not work with this fine tip nozzle. I think there is only 3 that it won't work on, which would be the glitter drops, because I did try with glitter drops. It works for the first little bit and then it gets clogged up with glitter, so I would definitely not recommend using it with the glitter drops, because I think you'd be forever trying to poke large bits of glitter out of the nozzle and it would just drive you bananas. And then it also would not be compatible with stone drops, because if you've seen a stone drop you'll know that the nozzle of a stone drop is bigger, so there's like larger granules in there to give it that stone drop feel, and it won't pass through this tiny little precision nozzle. And then also on a similar note, the glitter accents that come in this sort of like shaped bottle, they're kind of like that, they also have a larger nozzle on them as well, so it's not going to work with that either. But things that it will work with is your Nuvo glue, which is what it's designed to work with, but it will also work with your gloss Nuvo drops, your metallic Nuvo drops, your jewel drops, your dream drops, your vintage drops, then also your neon drops, and your aroma drops, and also your Nuvo crystal glaze as well. If you like using like glossy accents with a fine tip on it, you can then put one of these fine tips on your Nuvo crystal glaze as well. And if you wanted to, I don't know, maybe use acrylic paint or something with a fine nozzle, save your bottles. When you get to the end of a Nuvo bottle, whether it's glue or whether it's a drop, save your bottle, clean it out, you can decant some paint into it and then actually use a fine tip nozzle with paint as well. I did try to have a look and see if any of my sort of bottle form of paints would work, but they've got larger sort of top portions so the lid wouldn't go onto it. But do have a go, see if you've got any products that it might work with if you did want to do that as well. But I wanted to show a nice range of products that this works on, and it's all exactly the same way as putting it on the glue. You just unscrew the normal lid, pop out that plastic nozzle and then screw it back on, and then you have the perfect fine tip nozzle on all of your desired bottles of Nuvo. And the reason why I chose black, white, I did pearl white as well. I've got the clear, I've got the white or the Cloud 9, which is the white Dream Drop, and the white Vintage Drop as well. And I decided to do it on all of these sort of more neutral colours because I thought if I did want to use a coloured drop, you could use the colour drop in the main form and then use your fine tip ones to like draw a swirl on top, or make eyeballs as well, or do details on like a ladybird or a bumblebee as well. I thought these would all be the perfect kind of colours to use them on. So definitely I wouldn't say buy one of these for every single one of your Nuvo drops, but your most used colours, I would say it's really nice to have it on there. And I've done a few different examples to kind of show how fine the applicator is for this, and also the eyeballs as well. So I have actually used pearl as the base of my eyeballs because I did only have one white and I've put the nozzle on there. So for the big blob I used my second bottle of pearl white, but then you can see how precise you can be with the pupil on the eye. And then on these two I did a drop of colour first. That is the Dragon Scales Dream Drop, and this one is the Windsor Wine Gloss Nuvo Drop. And I thought these would be absolutely perfect for Halloween, and you can also do something else perfect for Halloween, which I'll show you in a minute as well, which is why I wanted to get this video done and out for you so that you could have a look and see if you would, you know, want to use any of these bits and pieces or these ideas with your Halloween project as well. But also not just Halloween, Christmas too, because look how cool you can do your own hand-drawn little snowflakes with little tiny snowfall as well. You can do tiny little dewdrops that you could have onto like the petals of flowers like poinsettias and stuff for Christmas, or even like little dewdrops on a cobweb for Halloween too. This is the Dream Drop, and you can see the kind of flow you get with that. I did find actually the Dream Drops seem to have the least air bubbles in the nozzle. You can get around the air bubble. It kind of does more to begin with, so I would definitely say practice on like a piece of scrap paper or something, because it does go a little bit air bubbly the first sort of strokes through, but the heart then it'd run out of air bubbles by the time I'd got to the heart. You could also store them upside down and then that would kind of stop you from getting air bubbles in there as well. Then you can also down here, this was my experiment with the glitter drops, and you can see this first diagonal here was the first one that I drew, but the rest of that little star, it's mostly just clear because it was getting blocked up with the glitter and only the clear suspension was coming out, not the glitter. So that's why I don't recommend using it with the glitter drops. But any of the others that have that same size nozzle that the glue has, so not stone drops, not glitter accents, and not glitter drops, everything else should work. Well, everything else that I've tried has worked. So yeah, definitely not with the glitter drops because it does get clogged up. I mean, you could try it if you wanted to, but I do think it would drive you bananas with having to like keep poking it to unjam the bits of glitter. But also making like custom little pieces as well. So here I did the white Vintage Drop to draw the outline of the wings. Then I filled them in with the clear, and I also tried to like swirl in a little bit of the white. I don't know if that's coming across on camera. I tried to do a little bit of a swirl. Then I just used some of the Gold Luxe Dream Drop to do the body of my bumblebee, and then because you have that fine tip on the black, it actually allows you to add multiple stripes to the bumblebee. Normally when you've got the normal nib on there, you can only really do like one stripe on the bumblebee because it ends up coming out so much bigger than you thought it would. And then you can also do the tiny little eye on there as well, and you can even draw in the little like antennae too, which is fantastic. And you could even do that onto your easy clean mat or onto a backing piece of some leftover double-sided adhesive, or like your foam pads backing piece, and you could have it as a peel off element that you could then stick onto your project if you didn't want to do it straight onto your project as well. But that's just a few little examples of how lovely and fine you can get the detail to be. And if I show you next to each other too, so this is that Windsor wine. If I draw a line of this is me trying to go as fine as I can. And then this isn't going to be the same colour because I'm going to use one of the ones with the fine tip on there. But you can see how fine this is compared to the normal. So you really can get that fine line if you like drawing, or the fine little dots. I really love doing the tiny little dots, and it works so perfectly for doing that. And then I also thought I would show, you know, I love doing my swirly drops, and normally I do the first drop in the one colour and then I do another drop of the other colour onto something else, and I use my pokey tool to pick it up and do the swirl on. But if you've got it like this with your fine tip nozzle, you don't have to faff around with that. You can actually just draw your swirl. I don't know if you're going to be able to see this because the angle that I have to do it at, but I'll show you it afterwards if you can't see. I can't really look up and do it at the same time, but you can actually just draw your swirl straight on top then with your fine tip nozzle, which is just fantastic because it saves time and you're actually wasting less drop then, because normally you waste a little bit of your drop when you've put some extra on another piece of card. And you can actually flick this from underneath to try and make it spread out a little bit more as well. And then you've got a really cool swirl. I love it with Dream Drops. Dream Drops look so cool as a swirl on top of a normal drop. And then top tips for not letting your nozzle get clogged is put your lid on, you know, as soon as you finish using it. I'm always, when I have my fine tip bottles with the pin that goes in the top, I'm always using it and then putting it straight back on. I mean, obviously you don't have to completely screw it on every time, but I would say make sure you are putting that back in between, you know, if you're leaving it for a couple of minutes, just put the lid back in, even if it's not screwed on, just so that the air's not getting into the nozzle. And you can also, if you're not, you're going to store them upside down so that the product is already there in that fine needle tip, I recommend taking your bottle, kind of squeezing it like this and tapping it to make the product come away from the nozzle. And then, I don't know if you'll be able to hear this. Don't know if you can hear it. Can you hear that you can hear air going through the nozzle? That means there's no product then stuck in that nozzle. So if you leave it cleared like that and then put the needle tip back in, when you finish using it and you're going to put it back on your shelf for a while or in a pot on your desk, that is going to help it not get blocked as well. I mean, I haven't been testing these for the longest amount of time. I have had the one on my glue for a long time and it's still not clogged. I think I've maybe had that a year or so and it's not been clogged at all. But the Nuvo drops I only put on like a few days ago, but so far no problems at all, and I've just been able to work with them again straight away. And I wanted to show you that other Halloween project. I have covered part of it up because I used a die that's not out yet on part of it, so I just wanted to show how you can draw a spider web with it as well, whether you are stamping a spider web and tracing over it if you don't want to freehand draw it yourself, or whether you are just freehand drawing a spider's web, maybe writing someone's name. You can definitely trace over stamped images of like a sentiment, so you get the you know, a really nice font that you love. You can just trace over that. And this was with the vintage white drops, which is the chalk stick. and you can see just how beautiful that sort of matte finish is. It really looks like a cobweb, and while it was still wet I just sprinkled on some glitter just to give it a different kind of look as well. But I just really wanted to show you that as an example because it works so well for doing that kind of thing. I mean, yes, you could do that with the normal Nuvo drops without the nozzle, but you're going to go through so much more product doing it like that, because if you look at these two together, there is, even though they're, you know, the same length line, one is definitely much thinner than the other, so you're using much less product. If you look how tall that one is, and that was me trying really hard to only do a narrow line of it. So you're going to go through much less product if you have the fine tip nozzle on there, and you want to do lots of those drawing kind of techniques as well. So yeah, I think these are a really fantastic addition to the Nuvo range, and I would definitely recommend getting them for your glue so that you can do the fine little dots on the back of your die cut, so you don't have to tap it on the back of your hand if you don't like doing that, and you can really get that precision with all of the gorgeous intricate die cuts that Tonic do. But if you're going to get one of these, you get it in a 2-pack, so you've got one to try if you want to see if you like it on your Nuvo drops. Or you might have 2 bottles of glue on the go at the same time. You might have another brand of bottle that it would fit on absolutely perfectly as well. So you can always use the other one for that. But you can interchange these onto different bottles as well if you wanted to. I know it's the whole thing of having to keep that little plastic nozzle that comes in the bottle. You would have to then keep them and, you know, be able to replace one back in if you took this nozzle off of one. Unless you just put the normal lid back on. Actually, you could just take this whole nozzle off, put the normal lid back on, and just remember not to squeeze that because it would all go up inside the lid. And then you could swap over to another colour. This is full of product though, so you will, if you do swap colours, you will get some of the initial colour coming out first, kind of like when you use those coloured glue sticks in your hot glue gun, or the glitter glue sticks in your hot glue gun. You kind of get a bit of the previous one coming out first before the new one that you've put in, but you can definitely do that if you want to, so I thought I'd just mention that as well. So I hope you enjoyed this relatively quick up close video looking at your brand new Nuvo Precision tips for your Nuvo glue, or for the Nuvo drops that I've mentioned in the video as well, and I really appreciate you taking the time to watch my video too. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again in the next one. Bye!